Hi Scorpio, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your love reading for mid-October to around mid-November. We have a lot going on the next few weeks. It's going to kind of feel like all of 2020 has led you to this point. And in your chart, especially if you are a Scorpio ascendant, regardless, it's the third house from your sun that my energy is focused on. And this talks to me about communication and self-expression and your ability to find your voice. And I think that Scorpio is going to spend a lot of this Mercury retrograde in your sign opposing Uranus, doing a lot of introspection, a lot of navigating how you feel inside, determining what is truly yours and what opinions or ideals have been sort of forced on you from other people, from the way that you've been raised, the community you live in, and the experiences that you've had. I feel like for Scorpio, this is a deep dive into the mind and how it can manipulate your reality. You know, you guys have Neptune in the 5th house, so for years there's something very elusive about 5th house things. Sex, relationships, children, and Neptune can make it feel like it's very hard to reach. It's very hard to grasp these things. So you may have felt like you've met the one. You might have felt a few times like this is truly it, and yet that Neptune there makes these things so elusive. I often talk about Neptune tied to the 12th house of a house of self-sabotage. So it could be reaching for dreams and goals, and then maybe you get through 2020. You start to see certain things happening and playing out. Things are becoming very much a reality. And then Scorpio kind of looks at all of these things on the table before them and they say, do I even want these anymore? Did I even want these to begin with? And I think that this Mercury retrograde is a very swift and fast transit that's going to really get you to know yourself. Now that journey isn't easy, Scorpio, but it is worth it. And it is critical right now that you start to look at situations from a little bit more of an intuitive place. I don't know why, but I get this feeling like Scorpio has somehow lost their way a little bit, maybe stopped tuning in so much to their intuition, getting somewhat manipulated, which is funny because typically you are in control, you know, there's a powerful undertone and it's not easy to manipulate a Scorpio. But something, maybe that Neptune in that 5th house, has you really second guessing all of your situations. And it might be a deep dive into the area of trust for you. Now, your first card out is a card of Temperance. You could see this card, there's like these cold mountains. They feel cold to me when I look at them. There's a chill, meaning there's a discipline, there's a boundary. It feels very Saturn-like. And this here is kind of the fire burning underneath the surface. Scorpio, I feel like there are things that are kind of bubbling below your surface in your life. Things that are kind of making you even a little rough around the edges, easily irritated. I feel with this card like Scorpio is kind of getting sick and tired of this story. I feel like there is a reaching for some sort of resolve, and in that you need to search for the truth. Now all of this stuff building up on the inside, you know, this kind of fire in your belly, I think it's important for you to understand that that is intuition. That is your higher being, and they are really pushing you, really pushing at you to see things for what they are. And that Saturn energy, that coldness above, means that maybe you already know that the answers aren't the easy ones, that this journey isn't the easy journey. See, now is not the time where things go easily for Scorpio. Now is not the time where momentum is picking up and things are just kind of breaking through. I feel a lot of resistance on your end for the acceptance of truth, and I feel like it stemmed from something within you that's maybe making you feel like you can't trust. You can't trust yourself. You can't trust that intuition. You can't trust what you're feeling. And so what the universe does, 7 of Wands, is it sort of forces this internal journey for you. 7 of Wands can feel like you don't know which path is right. Now, underneath these two cards, the 7 of Wands and the Temperance, could also represent if you are dealing with a third-party situation. Now, it doesn't always represent a third-party situation, but the 7 of Wands can make us feel like we have competition. So you might just be in a mindset of comparing yourself to others. This is where we can fall into those patterns of not deserving, thinking other people deserve a type of love or that job, and that's just not the way things work for you. You also might be feeling a little defensive, a little on edge. Again, this is that trust thing, and I think your intuition is really screaming at you right now. So the more that you resist it, the more that you resist the messages, the synchronicities, the signs that you're receiving, the more that you resist a certain truth that's coming from somebody, the harder the universe is going to push you. Because you're going to be forced to take a look at this stuff. The next 4 weeks for you are really crucial. And it is in a way that you have to take your power back. Those two cards come above this oracle card of fear. I realize that I am testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. Temperance is oftentimes a card of waiting, like you have to be patient. You're waiting for somebody to make up their mind. You're waiting for circumstances to be more hospitable. There's a waiting for something to become a little bit more fertile, and maybe you're waiting on other people. Maybe you're waiting on other people to make decisions on your behalf. And 7 of Wands can also tell me that maybe this person is choosing between you and another person. You know, there's definitely a feeling of competition. There's a feeling of self-defense. There's a feeling of aggravation. And yet underneath that 7 of Wands is this oracle card of worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. Temperance also represents divine timing. So if you're trying to push something or force something or put yourself into a situation you're not quite sure you're ready to commit to, then it's probably a good time. Every time that you feel fearful, like things aren't working out, maybe fear of change, fear of pain, you know, these are very human things. Just feeling fear doesn't mean that you're weak. Fear, ego, those are very important things. Anybody that tells you that you have to let go of your ego is absolutely insane. That ego is necessary. The problem is telling the difference between the ego and the higher being, meaning you have to start to know the difference between your intuition and your fear. This could play out in a whole lot of different ways. And I always tell you guys, the outcome is so not important. And I can't express that enough to any of my signs. Right now is not a time for you to need the answers, for you to have the guarantees. Because in a way, we're all being asked to move, to progress with our true hearts, our true spirits, our true authenticity. And when we do that, the things that we carried with us that didn't connect, that weren't on that same frequency that we truly are, will dissipate from your life. And that kind of change can be extremely scary. Now, Scorpio, you're a fixed sign. And so it's important for you to know that in the next year or so, we're going to be moving into a time when you are really challenged. My Scorpios are going to be pushed, but it is for the purpose of taking them to the next level, starting the next journey, getting things off the ground. I like the way that this card depicts two angels. There's the angel wings, which tells me that the situation you're going through is opening you up. It's ascending you, even if there's disappointment and pain. This was all divinely created so that you could understand who you are, what your true needs are, and what you really deserve. Now, these two angels are kind of wrapped in these white sheets. And to me, it's like sheets of protection and purity. And with this Temperance energy and the Seven of Swords, I think it's very indicative that rejection is protection at this time. You know, if you're pushing for things to happen and Mars retrograde, there's just no progress being made. You need to understand that is for your highest good. Current energy, center of your reading, is that of the High Priestess. And this is your intuition, Scorpio. See, the difference between the ego and the intuition is that the ego screams at us. The ego will make you feel like you're running out of time. It will make you feel like you have to force something or something has to happen right now. You need the truth right now. The intuition is much quieter, which is why it's really important right now to go inward, to listen to your voice. You know, Scorpio, you would be doing yourself a lot of favors this month if you could rest. I feel with that Seven of Wands that you've been up in your head, battling your own demons, battling that whole argument between intuition and ego, trying to decipher what the actual fear is. And the High Priestess is a promise that if you take the time to listen, if you take the time to listen to your own heart, you know, this is a time when we shut off communication a little bit. We stop asking other people's opinions. We stop turning to people, or we stop even worrying about what's going to happen. You know, sometimes, Scorpio, there's something that we really want in our lives, and yet it might disappoint other people. You might have to let people down, and so you hesitate and you hold yourself back, and in turn you dim your light. And that's what the universe won't allow anymore. That's what 2020 has said to all of us. Why are you dimming your light? Why are you staying in situations that you know at the core of your heart and soul, it isn't truly what you want? This isn't your path of least resistance. There's something that's coming through here that tells me that whatever it is that you're trying to push for or accomplish, whatever box you're trying to fit yourself in, may not really be for you. Underneath the High Priestess card is your Oracle card of deception. Someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship. Listen, it doesn't have to be vicious, okay? Deception sometimes is a result of another person not being honest with themselves. Now, you might be dealing with somebody who is not being honest with you. You might feel manipulation. You might feel at times like you're not quite sure who this person is, what their intentions are. But we're in a time with Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde. You know, people are really getting pushed to their limits emotionally, physically, in all of the ways. We're getting pushed to our limits, especially in the areas of our life that really require change. And so whether it is you or the person that you're dealing with or want to be with, or even if this is in regards to a job, someone doesn't actually want this. This isn't for them. And maybe they're holding on to this situation because the fear of moving on to something else when you don't know what that looks like, how it will happen, ushers in that fear. There's also an element, Scorpio, of how sometimes we can get really comfy in bad situations. Just because you're with somebody for a long time, or just because you've had this dream for a long time, doesn't mean it has to stay forever. And oftentimes the universe wants to bring us that new person, that new situation, because our growth here in this place and in this relationship is quite simply done. The frequency has changed. We've learned the lessons. You know, it's not to say that the experience is not a gift, because most likely it is the failures and the bad experiences and the hurt and the pain that make us who we really are, that push us to be who we're really meant to become. That's what alchemy always is. It's the pressure. It's, you know, when you look at somebody who's going through a lot of square transits or has a lot of squares in their charts, it suggests that there are obstacles that you have to overcome. And in the struggles, in those karmic lessons, are the gifts. That's the gold mine. Each time you become a little bit smarter, you become a little bit wiser, you become a little bit more open to this idea of intuition. And as you do that, the idea of change isn't quite so hard. Now, the overall energy above that High Priestess is the Explorer of Swords. And I like this for you because it's a guarantee that the truth is coming. It's a guarantee that the answers are on their way. It's a guarantee that if anyone around you is wearing a false mask, being deceptive, it will become obvious. You will see the signs. It's also indicative. Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter now all stationed, moving direct in your third house of communication. This isn't just about discovering the truth. This is about using your voice to make it known. Mercury Retrograde, Scorpio, in your sign means that you might be delivering some pretty harsh messages. You might have to say the things. You might have to disappoint some people. And yet it is for the greater good of everyone. Your challenge card right above that deception card is that of Judgment. This card is so beautiful because it's so indicative to me that you are in this place, you are right here. And it feels cold, it feels empty, there's snow, there's not a lot of leaves on the tree, there's not a lot of abundance. There's not a lot of nature and comfort. It's a cold place. And you may be in a situation that feels cold. It feels less than. And the Judgment card is the path right into that door. And inside that pathway is a whole different environment. It's an environment of warmth, of beauty, of passion, of creativity. And I like the colors. I like the purple, meaning this is where your intuition and your guides are leading you. There's yellow, which means there are blessings coming from the universe. There is green, meaning your heart is finally beginning to open. And I think the resistance on Scorpio is whether or not you're going to walk through that door, whether or not you're going to leave the situation that doesn't even feel right anyways and move into the unknown. Because the Judgment card is a promise that the other side really, truly is much better. And that, Scorpio, you deserve much better. I just don't think the universe is really allowing us, I don't think the universe is really allowing us to settle for things anymore. This is not an environment of settling. If you look collectively, we have thousands and thousands of people who have lost their jobs. You have people really making major changes in their career. People leaving relationships. People finding new relationships. You see these major shifts. And it's so indicative of the change that's coming when we step out of our own way. And that's what the Saturn-Pluto-Jupiter conjunction was all about in Capricorn. It was getting out of our own way. And it's done us so many favors through perseverance, through hard work, through struggling. Because we were forced to let go of the things that don't work. So we can let go of those feelings of, I wish there was something better, or I wish this just fit me better. I wish I was happy here. And if you're somewhere where you wish you were happy, it probably means that's not where you belong. I love the quote, one of my very favorite quotes in my entire life is from Ram Dass, when he says, in all reality, we're all just walking each other home. And in all reality, if you're with somebody and it doesn't feel like home, most likely it's not home for them either. And so sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the universe creates scenarios that forces you to walk away from something because it's not meant for you. And yeah, then you have to clean up the pain, you have to do the forgiveness thing. I mean, it's a lot of work. There's cleaning up of a mess here. And so it's a process, and it's not going to happen overnight. But in this atmosphere, at this time, it may go a lot easier and a lot smoother than you realize. And I think the first step is expressing yourself. It's speaking your truth. It's saying, I deserve better. I deserve more. I deserve happy. Your likely outcome is that of the 10 of Pentacles. Maybe you're moving away from this relationship and really focusing on career or finance. Maybe you're in a place where you felt very emotionally unstable for a long time. And now you know it's time to move to something a little bit more rock solid. An environment that isn't so up and down, like, oh my God, every day there's a potential for everything to just fall apart. And I think Scorpio wants something much different. I think Scorpio wants something they can depend on, something that they can call home. And that thing that they have to call home definitely has a strong sense of values, of loyalty, of devotion. Somebody that supports you and inspires you. And this is what that Judgment card, that portal, when you speak the truth, this is where the path leads. It leads right to the 10 of Pentacles. It leads right to solid foundations. And so the next experience, you will be so much wiser, because it becomes so much easier to just say, you know, it doesn't matter that I have to please people. What matters is that I need to please me. Because you're never going to be able to sustain that game of pretending to be someone you aren't and trying to please somebody that will probably never be happy. Because you're not their home and they are not yours. But there is a home for you. There is a place for you to go next. So when you're ready to release that fear and express yourself, you'll find that courage to find the thing that the universe has wanted for you all of this time. And they were just waiting for you to realize that you deserved it. Your final oracle card is card number 12, breaking down to a 3, which is a very divine number for me of the Holy Trinity, the mind, the body, and the spirit. Alignment. It's amazing because the card is a change in the wind. And when we go through a tremendous amount of change, It's really hard to sink your teeth into external circumstances or other people. You simply don't have control over anyone else now but you. And believe it or not, when you make that first step, when you make that commitment to yourself, there is alignment within the chaos. I actually want to read this, a couple of these examples for this card because I think this one's really powerful. A sense that unseen change has been initiated. Preparation for a storm. Awareness that your plans are not on firm ground. Feeling a shift. Uncertainty about which direction the wind blows. Now for relationships specifically. Relationships go through periods where partners seem out of sync with each other and stormy emotions and moods threaten to take down the ship. Perhaps someone has a change of heart and leaves. These rough seas offers opportunity for mutual growth, a way for you to understand your own heart better and to know that you need to be truly happy. Rest assured that whatever is happening now, good will come from it. Take temporary shelter and remove yourself from drama. The air will clear and everything will be fresh and new again. This too shall pass. Oh, these readings are just so incredible this month. I just see so much growth for everyone, and it just renews my own sense of faith in the universe. And if you don't feel that yet this month, Scorpio, by December, I promise you will. All right, guys, I love you so much. If you don't mind, don't forget to drop a like, share, and subscribe. Let's grow this community together and really focus on making everybody's lives really positive and wonderful. I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you for your November reading. Take care. Bye.